It's time for another Dice Tower review with Brian Hoier.
Hi, welcome to another Dice Tower board game review. I'm Thelma.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
You stole my line. I was totally going to say, go ahead.
And I'm Louise.
More than you'll ever know. Otherwise known as Brian.
And Patrick, the guy who's occasionally behind the camera.
This week we're going to be looking at Tannhauser by Fantasy Flight Games. Now, before we start the review, just know that this is the re-release where they've kind of patched up the rules, and it comes with the bigger, thicker, revised rule book. If you read reviews on Board Game Geek, you'll see all kinds of numbers all over the place of how much people hate it and love it and what's wrong with the game, because some people are reviewing the older version. So know that in this review, it's the most recent with the quote-unquote fixed rules.
How do those fixed rules work out? Is it worth playing? Well, what we're going to do is pop open the box and find out. Okay, component review. There are a lot of components with this game. First of all, you'll see the map underneath this. This map is two-sided, which gives you a lot of variability and a lot of different gameplays in the different scenarios that they have. Over here we have character cards, and these cards give you all the information, the skills, and the stats that you need to play the game. We have character cards for the Army of the Union, and the Obscure Corps, and the Bullstorm Division. Those are the ones that come with the game. You can get expansions as well, but these are the ones who come with the revised games. It comes with 6 10-sided dice. It comes with the rule book. Again, this is the revised edition rule book. It also has some scenarios for scenario play within them. And it comes with a lot of cardboard pieces, and we'll talk about those cardboard pieces in a minute. There's also a pack that we suggest that you purchase that will really ease the gameplay and ease the rule explanation. These are the cards that come in those packs, and we'll explain more about those in just a minute. Okay, the game also comes with 10 pre-painted sculpted miniatures. One of the great selling points of this game is they look amazing. Very well detailed. They are pre-painted, so that saves you a lot of time. They come out of the box ready to play.
So, here are 2 characters, one from each army, and their corresponding player mats. As you can see here, there are 4 rows of statistics. Those represent how many hit points you have. When you're at full health, you start at the top row and you go across. When you take 1 hit, you go down to the 3rd, 2 hits, 3 hits. Once you run out of 4 hit points for this character, he's dead. The hero characters have 4 rows. There are also lesser known, more common characters that only have 3 rows, making them less powerful. Now, there are also 4 columns on each character card. This one that looks like a crosshairs on a soldier, that's your attack value. So if I was at the top row, I'd have an attack value of 5. The one that looks like the red cross for health is actually what you roll for defensive die to avoid being hit. The mind one is only if you're using a special mind power, which certain characters can do. You'll make a roll for that occasionally. And then the foot one is how many spaces you can move. In this case, it's 6. You notice as you get hit and go down, you'll become weaker. So of 5, 4, 4, 2. For movement, I can move 6 at the beginning, but if I get hit and take too much damage, eventually I can only move 4, and so on. Now, to keep track of what level I'm on, you use these little cardboard circles here. Place in the circle next to it, and if you look, there's a little symbol here, and you have that pointing at the row. So at the beginning of the game, it's pointing at the top row. When he gets hit, I rotate it down 1. He gets hit twice, I rotate it down to the 3rd row, the bottom row, then he's dead. As you can see, it's a bit difficult to keep it there, and if you bump it easily, that could be a problem as gameplay goes on. That's one of my few nitpicks here when it comes to these player mats. Now, one last thing before you can begin to play. We've got our characters, we've got our card set up, but we need to do a weapon loadout. We need to choose what we want to take into battle for this particular game. Now, if you're a video gamer, you know that weapon loadout means you pick which weapons and what your sidearm, equipment, and everything is going to be that you take with you. And when you buy the game right out of the box, it comes with a whole bunch of little discs with the character's picture. So, this is one of his discs. It matches that character. So what I would do is I would take this, and I put it in one of those 4 squares for one of my equipment slots. However, if you notice, there's no wording on it. It doesn't tell what it does or how I use it. And that's kind of a problem. This is where these cards come in that my brother mentioned a second ago. See, I can take all the cards out of the deck that have that character's picture on it. There you go. And I go through and I choose his weapon loadout. Now, they're all going to have a special object. It says right up there at the top. You have to take that one. Okay, so that's one of his 4 slots. But after that, I can choose how do I want to play the game. Do I want the stamina pack, in which case I take all of the cards that have that green stamina at the top? Do I take the command pack, or do I do the combat? Well, being as he's a heavy machine gunner, I'm going to go combat. So I take that one, this combat, you get the idea. And it's as simple as that. They tell you exactly how many dice to roll, they show a picture of what it is, they tell you any special rules that come with it. It really speeds up setup, knowing which weapons to pull out of your hand for your weapon loadout that you choose. And also gameplay, you can just look at the cards. You don't have to keep going back to that big heavy rule book.
Okay, now it's time for the map. As I said before, it comes with a dual-sided map, and I'll show you both sides here real quickly. Good cardboard quality here. Now the quick theme of this game is, imagine if World War I never ended and World War I and World War II kind of fused together in one giant battle. That's kind of the theme of this. Also, this theme is heavy on the occultic. That is, the Obscura Corps are searching out for occultists or occult artifacts to help them win the war, and of course the Army of the Union is trying to defeat them. So that kind of gives you the idea of the give and take or the battle that is going on when in this storyline or in this world. Now the thing I want to tell you about the map that is really cool is that it has all these little circular placements. Now those circular placements are pathways of movement and pathway of shooting. And basically when you move, you go from one circle to the other circle. You'll notice that some circles have special designs in them, like this foot. This foot sign says that it takes 2 movement points to move through that or to move into it. Other symbols have special signals on them. This one has what looks like puppy paws, etc. And those are used more for scenario play. You really can't move into most of those circles. They're used for scenario play. Now you also notice that each of the circles has a specific color. Those colors are really used to help you identify line of sight, which is a pain in a lot of games. This game makes it really, really simple. The rule is, if you are in a circle that shares a color with your enemy circle, you have line of sight and you're free to fire. For example, here's yellow to yellow, I'd be able to fire. However, if I have a circle that is red and my enemy is in a circle that is pink or yellow, it does not have a red section to it, I cannot fire them, line of sight is blocked. It's really that easy. They've really simplified line of sight issues that you see in a lot of games.
Now, there's several different ways to play Tannhauser. There's Team Deathmatch, where you're just trying to wipe out your opponent's characters. There's Capture the Flag mode, and then there's some scenarios where you actually are playing through kind of a story mode of the game. We'll just show you the basic overall rules on how to play in general, but it's suggested when you first crack open the box, because there are a lot of rules, and if you're not used to a miniatures game, it's a good way to break in using probably just the deathmatch. That's what they suggest. So, your players will start off map. You can only enter in circles that have what appears to be a gold box with a green arrow in it. So there's the smashed in front door here, and then on the other side of the map there's a circle coming in from the cellar, so the other team's going to enter from the basement, so to speak. So I start off map, and I'm on the top row of my character card, which means I can move 6. So 1, it counts 1 to get in. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to go over here because this circle has blue, gray, and green, and so I have a little more options as far as when it comes to battle. I have line of sight in more rooms and more areas by staying in this circle here. Now the way battle works is, let's just say there was a man in this room when I came in. Okay. I have an opponent in there. I see he's on the light blue circle. I do have some light blue on my circle, so we have line of sight here, and I can attack. Now technically you can break your move up into 6 move and attack, but in any order. I could attack and then move. I could move 3, 1, 2, 3, attack, and then move 3 again to run away and get away from him or whatever. But in this case I've moved the full 6 so I can get in and see him. I'll attack from here. And again, to do that, I look at my attack and it's 6. Now this is where it gets a little bit complicated, because it's not just a straight 6 with the dice here. No, I have to take 10 minus whatever is in the whatever my statistic is. So 10 minus 6 is 4. I have to roll 4 or higher. How many dice do I roll? Like I said, it's a good thing we have these cards. It says I roll 5 dice for this. However, he has a special ability that lets him roll 6 dice. So 6 dice, and I have to do 10 minus 6, 4 or higher on the dice. So I would roll, and anything that's a 4 or higher is a hit. 9, 6, 8, 8. I have the potential of having 4 hits on this character.
As my brother said, there are 4 potential hits. Now the reason we say potential hit is because the opponent's character has a chance to dodge or deflect or try to avoid some of those damage or some of those hits. On the character card, the second column, the one with the cross above it, is your defensive dice.
Now, whenever you defend, unless you have a special ability that allows you to roll more dice, you always roll 4 dice. My top defense, since I have not been damaged yet, is 5. Now, if you remember my brother's little mathematics that is required for this game, it's 10 minus 5, which means in order to avoid any of those damages, I have to roll a 5 or higher on the 4 dice. Now, this game only comes with 6 dice. We strongly suggest going out and purchasing a few more 10-siders so that I don't have to re-roll his dice and accidentally forget how many hits he had. That's kind of an easy way to do that. So I'm going to roll my dice here. And I want a 5 or higher. So I got a 10, an 8, a 4, and a 3. In this case, my brother was successful in hitting me twice, and I avoided 2 of the hits. So on my character card, I would move that little disc on my card down 2 spaces.
So, my brother is going to have to take 2 hits. Potentially again, because he blocked 2 of mine, so we'll get rid of those dice. However, you have these things called command points. Now, the way gameplay works is I do one character, he does a character, I do a character, he does a character. And once you move over your characters, that's the end of one round, you start a new round. In deathmatch mode, you get 2 command points per round. You can use those 2 command points at any point in the round for one of the following actions. You can re-roll your setup or initiative roll. You roll initiative at the beginning of each round to see who gets to go first. You can spend 1 command point to buy an extra movement point. If I was just not quite able to get my character into a same color circle as him and I really wanted to get that, I could spend it to get that 1 extra circle. I can spend a command point to place a character on Overwatch, which basically means you put a marker under them, and they forfeit moving this turn. However, they get a free shot if anyone runs into their line of sight during this round. It's kind of like having them lying in waiting, ready to ambush someone. You can temporarily increase the characteristic value. So, instead of having to roll a 4 or higher, I could have spent it and say I only have to roll 3 or higher this time. You can launch a counterattack. Since I successfully hit him, he gets a counterattack now, and it won't count against one of his character's movement or whatever. You can shake off a wound, which he might want to do now. Taking 2 hits early in the game could be very devastating, so he could spend a command point. Nope, you only hit me 1 time. Or, you can introduce a reinforcement character, which we're really not going to get into right now. Now, of course, there's a lot more to the game. I mean, that was a very, very fast run-through, admittedly, but you get the idea. It's much more complicated because it is a blend of miniature gaming and board gaming, much deeper rules, some exceptions here and there, but you kind of saw what it looks like and how it'll play out overall. So for our final thoughts, one thing I really like the theme a lot, and the art style they went with is definitely eye-catching.
It was definitely a unique theme, kind of an Otherworlds type of theme. What if? It was kind of a neat take off of a traditional war or traditional miniature type gaming.
And because they do the whole the occult thing, there are a lot of mods out there, fan-made mods, where people are taking HeroClix characters and they've made character boards and cards and stats for like the Hellboy characters, because Hellboy fits in perfectly with Nazis and the occult. And so there are things out there. There's a pretty big growing fan base.
The thing that I really love about this is the miniatures. Let's face it, these are, you might not have been able to see it in the images, but they're beautifully sculpted miniatures. They're really well painted for mass-marketed figures.
And I am a sucker for beautiful, I will admit it up front, I like Ameritrash games and I love beautiful bits.
Now the downside about that is there are add-ons out for it, and they have add-on figures, but they are pretty spendy, but you kind of get what you pay for.
This is true. The game itself is pretty expensive. We know you can go online and find it for cheaper, of course, but the suggested retail price is pretty expensive. And with all of there are extra maps and boards, characters, scenarios, etc. You can definitely expand it a lot, but you could also end up sinking about $200-300 into this game in no time.
Yeah, it's really a unique gameplay. Once you get the rules out of the way, it actually plays pretty fast.
Yeah, that whole math, I get a little hung up on that math thing. I know it sounds really stupid. Oh, 10 minus, how hard is it? But again, you go, okay, 10 minus 6, I have to roll 4 or higher. I gotta read my card, it says I roll 5 dice. No, I roll 6 dice because I have this ability, so 6 dice. Wait, what was it? 10 minus 4, 6 or higher off 6 dice. I roll it, and then, I have another ability. I got a perfect 10. If I roll a 10, I gotta roll 2 more dice. And you're just throwing all these numbers out there, and if you just use the 6 dice that come with the game, it happened to us the first time we played. The other guy snatches up the dice too soon, you're like, I forgot how many hits did I have, and it can really screw things up. Have 2 sets of dice and get used to playing the game.
Yeah, the game is not your traditional Ameritrash, very simple rule play.
I think it originated in Europe, actually.
Yeah,
I do think it did.
It's the setup of how you have to figure out how to hit is counterintuitive to what a lot of American type board games are like. So that's going to take a little bit to get used to. One of the big things I really have to push is go out and purchase those preset cards that make your life a lot easier. That's really one of the great things I like about it, and one of the attractions I have about this. If you heard about me earlier, I talked about a lot of war games or miniature games not having a lot of fog of war to it. The fact that you can load out.
We should totally make a drinking game where every time he talks about Fog of War, you take a shot.
Well, anyways,
every review, I swear.
Checkers, the Fog of War. Yes, okay. The fact is, I like this game because it has that. You go in with your character preloaded out. Your opponent doesn't know what you have loaded out with, and it's really hard to memorize all the different uploads that you could have for your character, and it gives a lot of variability. I really like that. But you really need those cards. Those little cardboard chits, you're knee-deep in chits all the way through the game, and it's tough to keep track of all of that.
True. All right, so final thoughts. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a terrible game, 5 is it's okay, 10 being amazing, you need to buy it. I'm going to go with 7.5, and I really wanted to like it more than that, but keep in mind, the first time I played it, I was at about a 5. It was slow, kind of frustrating. All of the dice rolling kind of slowed things down, trying to remember what you had to do, keeping track of the rules. As I played more, and this is my suggestion to you, is give it several shots, give it at least 4 or 5 games, get used to it. I liked it more and more, and I'm up to a 7.5 now, and I think maybe with some expansions I could go possibly higher in the future.
I'm not quite that high. It would be much lower without the card base or the card set that we have.
Definitely.
Because we would have to go through the rule book, and it's a pretty thick rule book to find them all over again. With those preset card loadout that we talked about in the review, I give it about a 6.5. I think it's a little cumbersome still. I like it, but I think there's some little tweaking that still would have liked to have been seen done with it, especially keeping track of your character card. You bump that character card, and if your marker goes off...
Yeah, but the rest of the components are so nice. It's a little nitpicky.
It is a little nitpicky, but I give it about a 6.5. It's up there. The more I play it, I probably would raise it, but right now it's still about a 6.5.
Well, there you have it. We both like it. It's above average. Those are not bad reviews by any means. 7.5 is actually quite good. And like I said, with some expansions, it could go higher. But that's our review of Tannhauser. Thanks for watching.
I'm Patrick, and this is
Brian.
Thanks a lot, and we'll see you again.
Thanks for watching our review today. For more information about board games, as well as the #1 board game audio podcast, check out Dicetower.com for reviews, interviews, and more. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.